Hey, what's up, you guys? We just finished up the shoot with Ari. Nick was running the B-roll camera. I am sure that that has come out wonderfully, and that'll probably be the only blessing from this shoot. So just because the shoot overall wasn't really a great shoot, my mind might change once the photos are done. It could change completely. So this isn't the review of the camera. This is just my after-shoot report. Hey, what's up, you guys? Nick here. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Nick. I'm a professional photographer. I've been shooting professionally for the last 4 years, though I've had a camera of some sort in my hand for the last 16. Now today we are going to be reviewing the Nikon D40. This was sent to us by a subscriber named Dwayne. He also sent us the Nikon D50, which we did a video on, which I will link right up there. Now, we're out here at the ponds, a local wildlife preservation, with Ariana and our very skilled camera operator, Nick Duca. He is helping us out with this video. We're trying out a couple new things. I will also be shooting B-roll with my GoPro Hero 4. The link to that review will be down in the description. Now, as you can see, we don't have the best of lighting. It is not overcast. It is a sunny day. My face is probably blown out every time I go like this. But we have picked a spot with enough shade where we should be able to pull this off relatively well. If you guys remember my tips for shooting portraits in broad daylight, which I will link down in the description as well, you'll know that this is completely doable and something we should be able to achieve. Now, one of the issues I'm already running into with the Nikon D40 is the minimum ISO for it is not 100 like most modern cameras. It is 200 ISO, much like our D50, our D70, and our D70S, but we're gonna see what we can get with this camera today. So we are shooting with the Yongnuo 50mm f1.8 prime. I've got several videos on that. I will link the most recent one down in the description below as well with all those other videos. This camera, the Nikon D40, only accepts an SD card of 1 or 2 gigabytes. Anything more than that and it actually won't work. But we're gonna start doing some shooting. We're gonna get some nice summer portraits with Ariana, and then we're gonna do a full review back in my office like we have in the past. Now look right up at me very slowly, just like that. Continue to turn your head. Now start looking towards the camera Nick has. Now, as you're probably guessing from the title, and you're probably guessing from my little intro thingy, I didn't have the best of times on this shoot. Actually, I would say it was probably one of the worst shoots I've had in a long time. But how does that affect my review of this camera? Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna go over the shoot itself. The shoot itself was done early in the morning in a park in my downtown area, and it was sunny and it was hot. And we already know that harsh lighting kind of sucks for photography. Taking all that into consideration, I ran into a few problems with the camera right off the bat. I didn't go through and check the settings like I normally do. And when we very first started shooting, so probably maybe the first 10 to 15 shots that were taken were all rubbish. And they were rubbish because I didn't check the settings and the camera was on continual focus. Now, the problem with continual focus is it continued to try to focus itself constantly, not allowing me to actually lock up and take a shot that was in focus. Now, the other issue I ran into, because again, I did not check the settings, was that for the most part, about 3/4 of the photos were shot in JPEG instead of RAW. That was totally my fault. That is totally something that I should have checked beforehand, but overall it really affected my mood on the shoot. So that's why I didn't actually do a review of the camera while on the shoot, because I was kind of annoyed at the time and kind of not in a very good mood. Okay, why are things going wrong? This is weird. Never had this many problems before. It does not matter the range. The focus just keeps going.
It just keeps pulsing?
Yeah. Oh, that's why. It was on continuous focus. But I want to talk a little bit about the Nikon D40. The Nikon D40 was released November of 2006. It is a 6.1 megapixel camera. This one, unlike the D50 and the D70, does not have an internal autofocus motor. So you have to have an AF lens with a built-in autofocus motor for the camera to autofocus. Now, the two lenses I took on this shoot with Ariana and Nick Del Duca acting as my cameraman is my Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter, which is currently on the camera, ultra wide angle, and my Yongnuo 50 millimeter f1.8 for those close-up portraits. And as I was going through the shoot, I was kind of disappointed with how the shoot was going. Not necessarily at the camera, though the camera does have one large flaw that we are going to discuss that really bothers me, but I don't think it'll affect the camera and my ability to shoot with it once I get a little bit more practice with it. So far, there's only 3 focus points. It doesn't have a full 9 grid. Now, Nikon D40s can be picked up on eBay for about $39. The prices range between $39 and $150. The $150 kits generally come with a few lenses, some extra SD cards, as well as extra batteries and a bag. Now, the Nikon D40 comes with a different battery than what is used in the D50, the D70, the D70S, and it is a different battery than what's used in the Nikon D5100 and the D5300. So I want to say a special thanks to Dwayne for sending me some extra batteries with this camera, as well as the chargers for them, because none of my other batteries are compatible with this camera. Now, the one big flaw I have with this camera in particular is the way that the focusing works. So what exactly do I mean by the focus point? Now, on this whiteboard right here, we have what the D5300 looks like. Here, we have about what the D5100 looks like, except it would have another dot over here. And right here is what the Nikon D40's focal points look like. You only have those 3. Now, why does that create a problem? That creates a problem because you only have 3 points to... When you're shooting in portrait mode, that means you can focus on the very top, or it's not even necessarily the very top, the middle, or the bottom. Now, that creates kind of a problem because if you're taking a wider angle shot and you framed the model's eyes higher up than when your focus point is, you're going to have to bring it up, which means you're either going to have to zoom out or you're going to have to step back to make sure that you have it framed the way that you want to. Now flip your hair up in 3, hold on, 2, 1, now.
Oh, that did come out fantastic.
Right?
Yes.
Whereas when you have the 53 or the 5100 and you have tons of dots, you're able to focus on a wider area in order to get the shots you want. Now, the other issue with that is if I'm shooting in landscape mode, if I'm shooting a portrait in landscape, that middle dot right there, I can't focus up. So if the model is walking towards me, I have to hold the camera higher to put her face in the middle of the frame, and I can't frame it exactly as I want to. Now, how big of a deal is this? At the time of the shoot, it was a bigger deal to me than it actually is. And the reason behind that was, I just wasn't used to it. Towards the end of the shoot, I had figured out exactly what the camera was doing. I had figured out that I needed to be in RAW. I figured out that I needed to take it off continuous focus. And I figured out how to use those 3 focusing rings inside the camera. Which, again, they're mildly inconvenient, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's something that can easily be worked around. The other thing I had to take into consideration is that this is, in fact, a 15-year-old camera. It came out in 2006, And granted, the D70 is an older camera and it has more of those focusing points, but the difference being is the D70 was a professional grade camera. This one is not. Now, what really got me was when I finally got home, sat down, slid my SD card into the computer, and got some images where the color and vibrance absolutely stunned me. This camera takes some of the most colorful photos that I have ever seen in a camera of this age. It outperforms the D50 in that manner in every aspect, and I would almost say it might outperform my Nikon D70 in that exact same aspect. This camera is lighter than the D50, lighter than the D70. It's a lot cheaper than both of them, and with the right glass on it, you can take some absolutely amazing photos. Some of the things I want to discuss with this camera is the memory card. It takes an SD card instead of a compact flash, but you have to keep it at about 2 gigabytes or 3 gigabytes. Anything above that, the camera will not use it. I popped a 10 gigabyte, a 32, and a 64 in it, and the camera just will not read memory that high. Take your hands and run them through your hair. I'll count you down, and then look up at me. 3, 2, 1, now. So this time I'm gonna have you do the same thing, except as you run your hands through your hair, I'll have you curl it around your fingers.
Got it.
3, 2, 1, now.
Ooh. We should do that with just one hand.
Yeah, let's definitely try that. I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes. Yes.
1, 2, and 3 gigabytes seem to work absolutely fine. Again, thank you, Dwayne. He sent me a couple of extra memory cards. So the shoot overall, I wasn't really having it. I was kind of disappointed in the way it was going. But what do I think of the camera itself? What would I give this? What would I give this out of 10? We always do our reviews out of 10. I would say the Nikon D40 out of 10 would probably be a 7 or an 8. Now, I will come back and revisit this. I am going to go out, play with this camera more. I'm going to go and do several more shoots with it, and I'm going to revisit this review. At the time being right now, though, it is 7 because of that 3-prong focusing point. It makes portrait photography really difficult when you're trying to frame a shot in a certain way. For landscape, on the other hand, I'm going to imagine that this is going to perform a lot better in that metric because those 3 planes are really all you need for most landscape shots. And the camera itself actually shoots relatively fast. It has a relatively fast processing speed for putting the data on the memory card. I was shooting relatively quick and I never got backed up with the photos transferring to the SD card. It fired a shot every single time. The other complaints about the focusing, the continuous focus, it being on fine and not raw in the sun, that's not the camera's fault, but I only give it that 7 because of the 3 focus points in the viewfinder. I feel like they could have put 2 more and done 5, 1 above on each side of the middle just to make it easier. At 5 focus points, this would be a solid 8 or 9. And again, I am going to go out and shoot this again. I am going to do a re-review. Once I get used to the camera, its functions, and everything like that, overall, I like the camera. The price point is perfect. Again, you can pick one of these up for like 50 bucks on eBay. A lot of those $50 price points come with a lens. It's a kit lens, but it is something to get started with. The SD cards, the 1, 2, and 3 gigabytes are really cheap and easy to come by. Batteries for this aren't too expensive. I did look them up, and it is overall a really lightweight, great little beginner's camera. I think 7 out of 10 is pretty fair based on my experience with the 3 focal points. Only having those 3 points definitely plays a huge role in this review. The color of this, the quality of the images, everything it does is absolutely amazing. But again, only having 3 focus points, through the viewfinder really plays a huge effect as a portrait camera. Now we're going to go out and we're going to do landscape and we're going to do cityscape with this as well. And the reviews for those will probably be higher. I feel like this camera would work fantastic if you wanted to go out and do landscape or cityscape photography. Those 3 focus points are generally the only 3 I use when I'm doing landscape or cityscape photography. And you're usually shooting at a higher f-stop anyway, so it doesn't matter quite as much. When you're shooting at f1.8, f2.2, only having those 3, I ended up with a lot of blurry images where the background was in focus and the foreground was not, which was, again, just a minor annoyance, me getting used to the camera. But overall, I think 7 out of 10, it's a great beginner's camera, especially something you can pick up on eBay for really, really cheap. I would recommend this to any of my friends looking into getting into photography. If any of you are getting in and you are in need of a lower budget camera, I think the D40 and the D50 are the perfect 2 cameras for that. If you have a little bit more, the D70 and the D80 are great cameras, and if your budget's a few hundred, the D51 and the D5300s, they're all great cameras. I'm really, really happy that Dwayne sent this to me. I am absolutely stunned by the color capture capabilities, as you guys have seen. Sorry about the interruption. The battery on the Sony just died. Now, I did only give it 7 out of 10 because of the 3 focal points. If it had more, it'd probably have an 8 or a 9. Even if it only had 2 more focal points, it would definitely be an 8 out of 9. The color capture capabilities of this camera are phenomenal. The ease of use, phenomenal. The price point is perfect. I definitely am going to recommend this to anyone who is asking whether or not the D40 is a good camera to start with. Now we are going to do a how to use this camera. We are also going to do a landscape and cityscape video with this camera, as well as a street photography video. And those reviews themselves might be slightly higher just because of the color capture capabilities of this camera. But as a portrait camera, I would say it is 7 out of 10.
I have like 3 I think are the best.
Well, that's better than normal. Normally we end up with 1 or 2 that are just like the show shots.
Right, a collector.
Oh.
I really like this one.
Oh yeah, and I think that one was actually shot, no, that was shot in fine, but the color balance is good, so it should still be okay.
I like, this one would have been great if it was in focus.
Yeah, again, I was dealing with that bad focus point.
Right.
Now I have a special thanks for this video. If you notice, there's a lot of sweet B-roll. All that B-roll was done by Nick Duca. I want to thank him for being my camera operator on this video. Some of the B-roll, the first person stuff, was shot by me on my GoPro like we have done in the past, but all that third person stuff was done by Nick. I also have to give a special thanks to Ariana for being my model for this video. She has showed up in a lot of my videos, and I'm extremely grateful that she puts up with the cameras in her face all the time. And finally, I have to thank Dwayne. Dwayne, thank you so much for sending me the D40. It will be cherished, it will go to good use, and I do really like the camera. I think I just need more time behind it. Now, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. At 1,500 subscribers, I'm giving away a print of this photo. And at 5,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a Nikon D5100. This weekend, I will have the video of us shipping off the Nikon F80 or N80 to our lucky winner from our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Now don't forget, you guys, I do have merch. This is a photo of Ariana actually printed on one of these cool shirts. The link to this shirt as well as my other merch will be down in the description. That stuff really, really helps the channel. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye!